Walter Poleman from the Rubenstein School of Environment and Natural Resources at UVM, and I'm really pleased to be here with Dan O'Neill, Executive Director of Ethan Allen Homestead Museum. Burlington has so many incredible human history sites, but this is probably the epicenter for learning about human history on the land through time. So, Dan, thanks for inviting us here today, and I wonder if you could just give us an overview of this place and why it's so important to studying human history.
Absolutely. We call this place the Crossroads of History. The reason we call this the Crossroads of History, the Intervale in Burlington has known human habitation for 13,000 years. Archaeology has revealed that indigenous settlements on the Intervale date 13,000 years before any European colonizers arrived. Later, the French came and claimed this area. The Anglos came along later, also began setting up homesteads. Of course, indigenous people were here constantly and still are today on the Intervale land. And this piece of land is home to the future of our country, where we have new Americans farming on the fields that have been farmed on for thousands of years. You really have the past, the present, and the future intersecting all in one place right here in Burlington's Intervale.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, what is it that's so special about this landform in particular where we are?
Well, an Intervale, it's an intermediate wetland, and the river floods every year and deposits organic matter, silt, much like the Nile River in Egypt, and it makes the land incredibly nutrient rich and good for agriculture. That's why it was sought after by indigenous Abenakis and why it was sought after by European colonizers and still is farmed today.
Fantastic. And what's the vision, the present vision of the museum in terms of making sense of all this history for people visiting?
Our vision for the museum is to present history in all of its complexity. We're all part of each other's stories. We're all part of each other's experiences, and we have to know exactly not just what happened, but how we influenced each other, how we worked together, how we opposed each other, and to really, as I said before, understand history in all of its complexity, to get a more rich picture of what happened in the past so we can understand the present and then look ahead to the future.
Yeah, fantastic. How about in terms of complexity, how about the connection between the natural history of this place, the ecosystems, and the human history? Do you get into that at all in your?
We get into that a bit. Keep in mind there were different understandings. The land was sought after by everyone. For indigenous Abenakis, it's about the land. This is their ancestral land. This is the land where their ancestors lived for years. It's an incredibly deep spiritual connection that I don't feel many descendants of the colonists can fully comprehend. It's a very deep spiritual connection. The Europeans, when they came along, also had connections with the natural environment. They looked at the woods with resources. They ate, they grew what they had. When we talk about things like eating local and sustainable agriculture, we use them as kind of catchphrases. Back then, eating local and practicing sustainability was necessary for survival. You had to eat your own food. You couldn't just get food from the grocery store the same way because there was no refrigeration, no transportation. So the connection with the land was much, much different than it is today.
Yeah, and yet at the same time it gives us a blueprint about what sustainability might be for us living on this landscape into the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks so much for inviting us here.
All right, thank you for coming and look forward to having you come some more.